Hi, if you're going through a breakup, I am so sorry. Breakups are so incredibly painful and they can be confusing. Part of the pain that we're going through and experiencing comes from grief because we're going to grieve all loss. So a lot of times we only think of grief in terms of a death. So that's really normal, right? We experience the loss of a person and we know that there is some grieving involved, but we don't really apply that same understanding to the loss of a relationship or kind of like the death of a relationship. Hi, my name is Olivia. I am passionate about helping others understand what relational trauma is, how to overcome it, and ultimately how to move on with your life. So today is all about what can we do with grief when we suffer the loss from a relationship, and how do we keep it from overwhelming us. All this is going to come from I Can't Believe How Much It Hurts. You can find this on Amazon. It'll be linked in the description. So the first thing to do with our grief is learning how to set some parameters or some boundaries with our grief. So we talked before, you can go back and look at the playlist with the how to get through a breakup and see that, okay, so it can feel like we're in the ocean. Some days it's calm and we're like, oh, I don't even care about that person. I guess I'm healed. Guess I'm better. And then the next day it's like the ocean is just like collapsing on our heads and we can barely breathe. And some days we feel like we're mastering it. You know, it can just kind of be all over the place. And unfortunately, that is very normal for what we experience when we're going through grief or the loss of someone, the loss of a relationship. So this all comes from page 6. It's going to walk you through how to start setting some boundaries so that you stop being overwhelmed by your grief and instead you start to have some control over the grief, for lack of a better word to say it. In other words, you're not so much at its mercy. You're learning what to do with it and how to process through it so you can heal. So the first thing is deciding on a day that you're actually going to do grief work. So instead of just having this grief overwhelm us, take us over, it's running the show, we're at the mercy, and now we're in this ocean of grief. Instead of that, it's saying, I understand there is an ocean waiting for me just outside my front door. But instead of feeling like I just have to go into the ocean and be tossed around, I understand that I am going to deal with that ocean, but I'm going to say when I'm going to deal with it. And it's not, a someday we're going to deal with it. It is, I'm going to deal with that on Tuesdays at 6. So you want to take a look at your schedule, take a look at your calendar, and you want to carve some time in, and you're going to label that as grief work. So I'm going to do grief work this day at this time. And then I would really recommend also setting a timer or setting an allotted amount of time. So it's not just that I'm going to sit here and then I have to throw myself in the ocean until it spits me out, then I'm done. No, I'm still going to say, I can probably do 20 minutes Tuesdays at 6. And then Tuesdays, 6 o'clock, I'm going to get my phone out. I'm going to set a timer because that's what I set timers on, is my cell phone. So set a timer, however you set a timer, however long you want to carve out. And really, at the beginning, it's very common to need more time to do grief work. So you may have multiple times in a day that you're going to do grief work. You could have multiple times in a week. And eventually, it tends to kind of like dissipate, or you have less times that you're doing your grief work. So maybe in the beginning, you're doing it 3 times a week. Maybe after like 3 weeks, you're doing it twice a week. And then maybe after like a few months, you're doing 1 time a week, and then you just don't need to do it anymore. So the beauty of this is when my brain tries to remind me, oh my gosh, we suffered a loss. Now we have to figure out how we're going to be safe. And so it brings up all these memories, all this emotion, which can get really confusing for me, right? Instead of doing that, once that memory comes up, or once that emotion comes up of, oh yeah, that person's gone. Here's all the things I'm never going to have. Here's all the things that I've lost. Here's every mistake I made, everything they ever did to me. Instead of that, it's thank you for reminding me, brain. I will deal with this, but I'm going to deal with this Tuesday at 6. So then my brain's like, okay, she's aware there's an ocean outside the front door. She knows that there's a loss and we are going to deal with it. And my brain kind of leaves me alone until Tuesday. So anytime during the week or anytime outside of that grief work, as it comes up, I'm just going to say, thank you. I will deal with this. I am at work right now, so I'm not dealing with this right now. I will deal with it Tuesday at 6. And here's the thing. You're sort of like building trust with your brain. And so Tuesday at 6, when that comes up, then it needs to be, nope, this is what I said. This is what I do. No matter if I don't want to do it, or, it's tempting to just call someone to go see a movie. I want to avoid my grief by cleaning my closet. Anything I can think of other than having to sit down and face this is going to be sort of like tempting. So instead of doing that, it's very much, nope, this is what the time I set aside, and this is what I'm doing Tuesday at 6. Now for you, it may not be Tuesday at 6. That's just an example. It could be any day of the week, anytime. It really needs to be a time when you are alone, when you can dedicate that those moments, those minutes fully to just immersing yourself into that grief work. So like anything else, because this is not therapy that we're doing, right? This is just a tip and an exercise you could do to help you to move on. If it is ever overwhelming, you want to take a break. If it's too overwhelming, then I would stop and seek help from a professional in your local area. That's going to be, the best, safest way for you to get through these moments. So what do we do when there is those moments? How do we begin to look at our grief and kind of start to address our grief? So that's what we're going to talk about. Stick around for the next video in this series that's going to come out. And I'm going to give you a simple exercise so that when it's Tuesday at 6 o'clock, what is grief work? What exactly am I supposed to be doing, right? What does that even mean? So I'm going to give you a simple exercise, something that can start you going on your path that you can begin working through. And again, you can find all of this in I Can't Believe How Much It Hurts. There's also a course available that'll be linked in the description, or you can find the book on Amazon.com, my book also on Amazon.com, and also stick around for the next video. And I'm going to give you, again, that simple exercise that you can start to do the second you schedule your time for grief work. So remember, it could be as many times as you need, as many moments throughout the day, as many days in your week as you would like it to be. There is no hard and fast rule. It's just, if you get going and you want to go longer than the 20 minutes, go longer than the 20 minutes. Because the more we can get our grief and our thoughts and all those emotions and those memories out on the table and look at it, then our brain can start to sort through what you've just gone through and begin to make sense of it. And that's how you're going to heal and continue to move on. So again, Amazon. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Sorry that you're hurting and that this is hard. I understand. And until then, take good care and watch these videos that I'm going to pop up on your screen to continue to help you in your journey. So take good care. I'll see you in the next one.